there as to whether or not you're happy, a few things. One, happiness, which is incredibly transitory, is probably not the right thing to focus on. The right thing to focus on, in my humble opinion, is fulfillment. And fulfillment has a formula which is about working really hard to gain a set of skills that allow you to achieve a goal that is both honorable and exciting. So you have to be hyped up about it, and it needs to serve not only yourself, but other people. Now, that's a far more robust, resilient neurochemical state to pursue, and I should have said pursue a goal rather than attain it, because you may never attain it. But the pursuit of it ought to be the part that is leading you to fulfillment. So you're working really hard to gain a set of skills that allow you to serve not only yourself, but other people. Okay, so if we know that that's what we want to pursue, then the question becomes, how do we know that we're fulfilled? How do we know that we're happy? How do we know that we're sad? How do we know that we're anything? And the answer to that question is really self-awareness. And I mean literally being aware of self. So understanding that emotions spring forth from the body. They are not a top-down phenomenon. The interpretation of the emotion is a top-down phenomenon. But as Lisa Feldman Barrett details in her book, How Emotions Are Made, it's really a fascinating conversation is probably the right way to think about it, between your body and your mind. And so your body is giving you these feelings, which are in part due to values that you hold, beliefs that you have, historical experience, your genetic composition. And then based on that context, you feel, literally feel, a certain way. And then your higher level cognition tries to paint a story on top of that emotion, explaining why you feel it. But the reality is it's being kicked up by your body, and whatever story you're telling yourself may or may not be accurate. But we believe the story all the time, and this is how people end up in these negative spirals. But you have to learn to interpret those signals from your body. That's the important part about assessing where you're at on an emotional playing field, is you really have to get good at interpreting those emotions. Now, there are two key factors in learning to interpret those emotions, and one of them is meditation. You need to get emotionally quiet enough. You need to get stress, anxiety, what I call background radiation, quiet enough that you can actually hear is not, I don't mean literally, but that you can begin to isolate a given feeling. And then once you get that calm and creative state that comes from meditation, and you can accurately identify what the feeling is, then we can begin in the second part to explore why we have the feeling that we have. Now, once we want to do that, when we're in that space, journaling, I found, is the most helpful thing in the world. So sitting down, what you're aiming for, you're going to write a whole lot of words so that you can finally say in a single sentence, call it the length of a tweet. It's short, it's punchy, and when you write that sentence, you feel like a puzzle piece clicking into place because you have accurately identified why you feel the way that you feel. Now, reason I say that you're going to write a whole lot of words to get to that is you're going to be exploring the nuance, and you're going to get close, but it won't be quite right. And as you write the sentence, oh, I'm feeling this way because of this. And you'd be like, you know what? I'm close, but it doesn't feel like a puzzle piece clicking into place yet. And that just means that you haven't nailed some part of it. And so as I journal, I'll say, yeah, I'm getting close, but I don't think that's quite it. And could it be this? And I'll start asking myself questions. I'll start putting forth hypotheses. And I know I have it when it feels like that puzzle piece clicking into place. So make sure that you keep going until you get to that point. But you've got to learn to interpret and then articulate what that feeling is to the point where it feels right when you say it. Now, the last part of your question, or I guess technically the first part of your question, was, what are some things you can do to effectively reflect on myself? And that speaks to that process that we were just walking through. So meditation and journaling. Meditation and journaling.